Welcome back to Scale Auto Guy's Workbench. Today we're going to be working on this vintage JoHan Pro Street Rambler. Now I've had this kit for over 20 years. When I got it, it was unwrapped, but it was totally sealed in the box. So I decided, what the heck, let's take it out, let's look at it, let's put it together. So first up is the body. Now on this body it has an opening trunk and the engine compartment. There's a lot of flash on this body. As with all of the other parts in the kit, they also have a lot of flash on them too. Here's your interior compartment. Very little detail on the doors. Here's your chassis pan. You can see all the flash here. That's got a lot of flash to be cleaned up. But what do you expect from the old kits? The plastic is starting to yellow on this thing. Okay, on this tree is your trunk lid and, well, a whole bunch of other parts. Exhaust manifold, some engine parts, wheels, and your seats and headrests. On this tree here, see more flash. A bunch back here too. This is your trunk insert, your engine. Nice hood. That's for that giant air scoop that goes on the hood. There's your rear suspension. Your separate dual exhaust, gas tank. Here's that hood scoop. Some more engine parts. Here's your chrome tree. Surprisingly, this is really bright and gleaming. But yeah, that's gonna look good. One piece glass. 4 non-branded tires, solid. Well, kind of cheap tread on them, but what the heck. You have your tail lights, which one has broken off, so I got to be careful not to lose those. Dashboard with included flash. Kind of plain. Not well, but Ramblers weren't known for a lot of extra flash, well, pardon the pun, extra, I don't know what you'd call it, but they weren't famous for it, whatever it was. Here's the decal sheet. This is, I don't know if these are gonna come off with no problems or if they're gonna give me all kinds of problems going on. Let's see if there's a date on this. 1992. So this is a 1992 kit. And last but not least, the yellowing instruction sheet. Wow, you can tell what side was exposed in the box. It's amazing that it yellowed like that. And it went right through to the back side. Alright, well, this looks like it might be a fairly quick and easy build. Of course, every time I say that, something jumps up and bites me. But we'll get it put together. Now just decide what color I want to make it. Do I want to go with the yellow on the box? Or do I want to go with some other exotic color? I have a plethora of them. Let me look at what I got and we'll come up with something. So there's a lot of flash to be cleaned up on this. So I better get busy. Alright. We'll get the engine put together, get some of this flash cleaned up, and head on to the paint booth. See you in a bit. Alright fellas, after a couple of hours of scraping and sanding, I've got everything ready to go. All the seam lines are gone, and there was quite a few on the body. I got all the flash off everything, and I'm ready to hit the paint booth with some primer. So I'll see you there. Okay guys, we're fresh out of the paint booth. It's been about 24 hours. All of the primer is dry. I do have a few little touch-ups I need to do here and there with the primer because, well, I just missed it. And I'm not going to show you where the mistake was. As far as the body color goes, I'm going to go with the black interior, and that's kind of where I want to be. top coat on the body. Now, I've used this brand of paint before, so I'm familiar now with how it sprays. But I'm going to go with a different color. This time I'm going to go with the Createx Pearlized Pearl Tangerine for the body color. Now, I'm not sure if I want to lay a silver base down on the body before I put this tangerine over it, or if I want to just go with a white primer. I don't necessarily think I want to go with the gray. I shot the gray, and then I thought about, well, how is this paint going to look over it? I'm going to probably end up doing a test spoon to see, well, a couple different test spoons to see how it lays down over the gray, a gray with silver, and then the pearl tangerine, or a white primer with a pearl tangerine. So let me experiment with that, and we'll kind of finalize on how I want to do this. In the meantime, we can get going on the rest of these sub-assemblies. The engine needs to be finished, and the interior needs to be done. The framework needs to have a little, well, I should say the chassis needs a little touching up. As far as highlighting, I always go through, after I do the flat black, I always go through and highlight the framework with clear, or I just go over it with gloss black. Here lately I've just been going over it with clear. I still have to do the rear suspension and the rear axle. So I've got a lot of stuff ahead before I get to the body coloring. So let's get busy. Let's get on it. Okay, fellas, I got a lot of the stuff pre-painted. I've got the engine completed. I don't know if that's the right color or not, but it's close to pictures that I found when I did research. The oil filler cap here was just the cap. On all of my research pictures, it stuck up above the intake manifold. Oops. And that wasn't provided in the kit. So what I had to do is take a little bit of sprue, sand it down, paint it, put the cap on it, call it a day. Same with the coil pack. Well, should I say just the coil? It wasn't a coil pack. Back then it was just a coil. I had to fabricate the coil as well. So the engine is about 99% complete. The only thing I got left to do is the upper and lower radiator hoses, and that will be done. I've got the frame highlighted like I always do. I had to touch up the rear leaf springs, and I'm waiting for that paint to dry because for whatever reason I missed one side of it. But that's been taken care of. The exhaust system is totally painted, the gas tank's totally painted, and the radiator up here is totally painted as well. I'm on now to the suspension assembly, and I'll get to that next. So stand by. Okay, on the chassis assembly section here, there isn't a specific order into which you can put this together. So I find a problem here. And let me show you what I mean. These rear springs just fit down into holes in the frame. So you can vary the height, I guess, of the rear end if you wanted to, just by repositioning these springs, and then when you put the rear differential in there, you can adjust the height of the rear end of the vehicle. The only thing that I can see that would limit how much you can raise that up would be the spring perches go on, let me see here, yeah, towards the front. Yeah. Spring perches go like this with the little pin. See the little pin here? That goes to the front. And they sit just like that on the axle. Now here's your spring, your shocks. These will limit the height of the spring. So I don't want to take them out of this yet because I'm not going to leave them black. Yeah, so this keeps the springs all the way down if you put the shocks on. If you wanted to go without the shocks, you could adjust that rear end height as high as it'll go. I'm debating on how I want to do this, because I don't want it sagging in the rear end. I want it to have a little bit of a raked look to it, just like I did on the 69 Charger, the Coca-Cola Charger. So let me think on this. I might just put the shocks on, just don't attach them to the chassis, but that would kind of give it a Wi-Fi look, wouldn't it? Yeah, to borrow a cliche from a YouTube channel that I follow. Okay, anyway, let me take a look at this and decide what I want to do. Okay, I had a little bit of a technical difficulty with my other camera. It recorded three sections of video in portrait mode instead of landscape. So I cannot show that to you. It will just annoy the snot out of anybody that tries to watch it, because it went sideways and, well, it's just not good. So let me catch you up to where we are. Let me think about what I have done. I think the last time that you saw this, it was just the bare chassis. There was nothing. In the time that I lost, I have sanded the tires. I mounted them on the rims. I mounted the engine into the chassis. I did the exhaust system, the rear suspension with the shocks. And I think that's just about it. I think we're all caught up. This does have plastic axles. So the skinny plastic axle goes in the rear end. The fat one goes in the front. It shows through here. I had painted that, but when I went to install it, the holes were so tight that it scraped the paint off. So I'm going to have to go in and touch that up. In order for me to get that in there, I had to actually take my pin drill and open up the holes just a little bit on each side so that axle could slide through. So that's where we are for right now. I kind of like the stance. It gives it kind of a raked look. Back end's just ever so slightly higher than the front end, and that's the way it should be, in my opinion, for that era of car, 1969. So that's where we're at on that. The next step, according to the directions, is the interior assembly, which is going to be black on black. I'm going to have to go in and do some accents, you know, detailing, if you will, of the dash and the seats. And then we can go on to the next step. I still have to paint the body. The primer is gassing out at this point in time, and as soon as that is ready to go, we'll be shooting the top coat on that. I have decided the paint that I'm going to shoot on this is going to be the Createx pearlized Pearl Tangerine on the body, which is a super nice color. It's got just a little bit of metallic in there. I might even throw a little bit of dragonfly glaze over that just to see what it looks like. Might as well, right? Whatever. So let's get on with it. Let's get this dash detailed up. I got a little bit of detail on the doors to do. I did clear coat certain parts of this so that they have a little bit of a shine to them. I have to do the headrests. I have to finish up detailing the headrests and installing those on the seats, and then getting the seats installed. And we'll be done with the interior at that point. So let's get on with this. Alright fellas, this is where we stand so far. I still need to get the body in the paint booth, but I do have everything else pretty much completed. I just have the interior setting in there right now, but there it is. Let me see if I can get zoomed up here a little bit. Alright, so this is my black on black with silver accents. I think it's going to look excellent with the body color that I've chosen. So let's get over to the paint booth and see what we can do there. Be right back. It's bare metal foil time. Okay, the bare metal foil is all finished. I finally got a hold of a sheet of bare metal foil that was actually worth it. It actually worked. Every bit of it laid down just the way I wanted it. It stayed laid down, allowed me to trim it in without fighting, and we're all set. Now I just need to do the grill and taillights and push the chassis and everything all together to the windows. Let me get that finished up and I'll be back with a final. Alright fellas, welcome back to the final. Here it is, the 1969 Pro Street Rambler by JoHan. This kit was issued in 1992. It was also issued as the Superstock SC Rambler, only it had a different set of decals and the box art was red, white, and blue. This particular kit is number S-1004. It was a pretty fun build. I've had this kit laying around for quite a while. I think I picked this up in 1999 or 2000, somewhere in that time frame, and it's just been sitting on the shelf all these years. I finally decided I'd go ahead and build it. I did make a couple of changes to it that wasn't from the box, and those changes were the wheels and tires. These tires were a little bit taller, just a little bit wider, and the wheels have the slots in them. They're open. The wheels that came in the kit, they were smaller and they didn't have the slots open, and they didn't look really quite right to me. Anyway, this kit has an opening hood and trunk, as you can see. Under the hood there you have the 390 V8. Nice little hood scoop. Now you could build this car without the hood scoop, but there is a gaping hole in the hood from the factory. So going without it, you'd have to fill that hole, or you just have a gigantic hole in your hood. Anyway, with the opening trunk, I figured it looked a little empty, so I went ahead and added a spare tire from my parts box and one of the original rims that came with the car. The bare metal foil, as you already know, laid down nicely. I finally got a hold of a sheet of that stuff that I didn't have to fight with. But anyway, it looks good. I went with a black on black with silver trim interior. This car comes with seat belts. Optional, obviously. If you don't want to put them in, you don't have to. So, what do you guys think about this car? Why don't you leave me a comment down below? You know the drill. Let me know what you think about this. If you've already subscribed, thank you for subscribing to my channel. If you haven't already subscribed, please consider subscribing. I have a lot of cars, vintage cars like this, that are in my stash that I plan on building, and I want you guys to come along for the ride. As always, thank you for watching Scale Auto Guy's Workbench, and I'll see you on the next build.